knobs, environmental knobs. And it's, oh, Earth will be fine with it. I don't know that. I got a neighbor to the left, a neighbor to the right. Mars is bone dry, 200 degrees below zero. Venus is 900 degrees. I want to understand what can go wrong in the cosmos so that we can avoid that for Earth. And so Goldilocks and the Three Planets is an assessment of where conditions would give you liquid water and what would then drive your capacity to search for life. And that, for me, is one of the most fascinating of the modern frontiers of cosmic discovery. And briefly, we've learned that you don't have to be in the habitable zone to have liquid water. One of Jupiter's moons, Europa, is actually kept warm by gravitational stress from Jupiter itself. It puts stress on Europa. And if you ever played racket sports and you hit the ball, you literally at the beginning say, let's warm up the ball. You're actually warming up the ball every time you hit it. You compress it and it has a recoil force that bounces back. But the energy that you pumped into it, it's got to go somewhere. It's got to go somewhere. Some of it goes to pop the ball back into shape. The rest goes into heat, the intermolecular vibrations of the rubber of the ball. And so Jupiter is pumping heat into Europa. Europa's way, and Jupiter way outside the habitable zone, because you calculate the habitable zone based on sunlight. But out there, you got a heat source from Jupiter getting pumped into it. It is icy on the surface and liquid ocean beneath it. It has been liquid for a billion years. I want to go to Europa and go ice fishing. Cut through the ice, lower a submersible, look around, see what's there. See what swims up to the camera lens and licks it. That'd be kind of cool. Liquid water for a billion years. Imagine. Life on Earth didn't require that much time to form. Life on Earth, here's something you might not have known. It's a recent thing. We all took biology in school, I think, presumably. Okay? You took biology, and what did you learn? Well, when did the Earth form? Earth formed 4.5 billion years ago. What's the earliest sign of fossil life? Back then when we took biology, it might have been 3 billion years ago, maybe 3.2. So then you say, well, life had 1.5 billion years to form on Earth, okay? From the primitive chemistries of the early days to the complex chemistry of life. And that's pretty good because then we went another 3 billion years after that. But as time went on, we found earlier fossil evidence, not 3.5, 3.7 billion years. As time went on, what we found is that the early solar system was a shooting gallery of leftover debris slamming into Earth's surface. If you're going to do that, it's not fair to start the life clock because complex chemistry could not have begun if you're a liquid molten surface. So that's not fair to start the life clock then. Let that period of heavy bombardment, which is officially called the period of heavy bombardment, it's true. I've said this before, we tell it like it is in astrophysics, okay? Spots on the sun, what are they called? Sunspots, thank you. Dark areas of space, you fall and you never come out again? Black hole, see? We are into one syllable lexicon. The origin of the entire universe, space-time, and anything? Big Bang, okay? Ask the biologist, what's the most important molecule in the body? It's deoxyribonucleic acid. 12 syllables or 10 syllables. Later, you get the molecule. So, where was I before I interrupted myself? Oh, thank you. Thanks. Somebody was paying attention over here on the left aisle. The period of heavy bombardment. Once we could do the computer calculations of how long it would take to vacuum up the remaining debris of the solar system to become the planets, we realized that took upwards of 600 million years. Earth didn't cool down until 600 million years after it formed. So you go from 4.5 billion years ago to 3.9. 3.9. Now you start the life clock. And when is the first sign of fossil evidence? 3.7. 200 million years to form life on Earth. That's nothing in the time of the Earth, and it's less than nothing in the time of the universe. So you have complex chemistry, enabled by the ingredients of life itself: hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, nitrogen, other, the famous element other. Those are the top 5 ingredients in life on Earth. What's the top ingredients in the universe? Hydrogen. Yeah, we've seen that on our. Oh, next one is helium, but helium is not chemically interesting. You can inhale it and, sound like Mickey Mouse, but it doesn't bind with anything, so it's not useful to us chemically. Next in the universe is oxygen. That's what it was in the human body. Next is carbon. That's what it was. Next is nitrogen. That's what it was with us. Next is other, just like it was with us. So if we were made of like some isotope of bismuth, then you'd have an argument to say that we are something rare in the cosmos. But we're made of the most common ingredients with a chemistry based on carbon, which is the most fertile of all elements on the periodic table. You can make more molecules out of carbon than you can with all other elements combined. So you got the right ingredients, and you have the fertility of the carbon atom. You're there, and give Earth 200 million years, you're there. You're there. And so when you want to think about the search for life elsewhere, these are factors that come in. Just because you haven't figured out how to do it yet in the lab doesn't mean nature had a hard time doing it. That's the hubris again, okay? Just because you can or can't do something, therefore it is impossible that way in the whole universe. Got to be a little more humble about our ignorance and get top people working on it. And so I had a point out of all of that, and I forgot what the point was going to be. Europa, thank you. So here it is. So let's say we find, see, people on the left side of the room are actually paying attention. You guys over here, I don't know what you're doing, okay? Left side of the room, yes. So, Europa, let's say you find life. Here's an unresolved question, okay? We've got top people working on this without a solution yet. If you find life on Jupiter's moon, Europa, do you call it European? See, we don't have an answer to that yet. We don't know what to do about that, okay? I don't know. Just, okay. By the way, these are not just idle thoughts. For example, because you want to get the answer before it happens, so you're not caught having to make something up on the fly. If you're from Mars, you're a Martian, right? You're from Earth, you're Earthling. We've heard that. You're from Venus, you're a Venusian. But it turns out the astronomers got there too late. We got to Venus too late, and we've regretted it ever since. Okay, Mars is the god of war, you remember from Roman mythology. Venus is the goddess of love and beauty. They called that planet Venus before they knew that you would instantly vaporize on Venus's surface, okay? Because it's beautiful in the sky, even though it's seething gases of carbon dioxide and sulfuric acid. Beautiful Venus. Anyhow, so we got there too late. We were beaten. We got beat. Why? Because the medical community started looking around, they got the microscope, they look and say, hey, there's this particular disease a class of disease that only shows up as a product of lovemaking. We must name that disease after one who's accountable for this. That would be Venus, wouldn't it? Let us name these diseases venereal diseases. To be of Venus is to be venereal. And then, damn, we could. So at that point, we can't now call life forms from Venus venereals, right? Imagine the spacecraft like, hi, we are venereals. It's like, nope, excuse me. Get somebody else to shake that hand. So we had to then invent a new thing that is not derivable from the Latin, and so we just invented Venusian. But it really, they should be venereals, okay? So this is stuff that... All right, I have 30 seconds left here before we go to Q&A. Well, I'm not done yet. I said only after I'm done. And notice again, it's the left side of the room asking about the asteroid. They don't even care when they die, all right? They don't know over here on the right. All right, I should first describe to you how you die.